So here we are live at Pasadi Vihara. I'm Aya Sivijana, and this is Aya Nyanika here. And we're going to continue looking at Yonisomanasikāra because it's actually a pretty important concept to understand as far as approaching the Buddha's teaching. And last night, I was looking online and I saw and Discuss and Discover of Bhante Sujato's site where people discuss the suttas. Somebody asked a question about the meaning of yoni. And there was like a very long discussion with about 5 monastics and about, I don't know how many lay people discussing what the meaning of yoni and how to apply yoni to the teaching. And it depends also, you have to remember, just like English words, it depends on the context. And so originally the word yoni meant womb, but then literally it's either the womb or going to the source or the cause. And so there was this long discussion about it's also how we're applying our minds to understanding the teachings and understanding causes of suffering and causes of happiness. That's kind of the simple form of it. But anyway, so I found a number of suttas. It's kind of a little bit of Raulic, and I hope it's not too confusing because I'm taking sutta extracts and folding them in. Oh, there was that simile of the bread and the yeast and all this kind of, now I'm thinking about folding in. And so you have to apply when you're baking bread, you add the ingredients gradually and you work them very carefully. And at a certain point, you have to work with them, the dough in a different way. And you have to be patient to just let it just develop. But you have to apply some effort as well, a person who is baking bread. So it's kind of like where the yoni comes in is how I think a lot of it is observation and making sure the conditions are right, applying your skill. And anyway, so we'll look at the suttas. I will share. This is what I learned to do. Most of us learned to do in kindergarten, we hope. So I'll share. Okay. So can you see the sutta?
Yes.
Okay, there's all these different things. Maybe I can enlarge the screen.
Yeah, take the upper left corner.
Let's get that out of the way. And then
right up here. Keep going up to the corner where it's green. And now you're just dragging. Okay.
Anyway.
There, you started.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's good enough.
All right, great.
All right. So we'll start reading. Would you mind reading? This is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation.
Did you want a nomotassel?
Pardon me?
Do you want a nomotassel?
Could you read, please?
Okay. Bhikkhus, when one attends carelessly, unarisen sensual desire arises, and arisen sensual desire increases and expands. Unarisen ill will arises, and arisen ill will increases and expands. Unarisen sloth and torpor arises, and arisen sloth and torpor increases and expands. Unarisen restlessness and remorse arise, and arisen restlessness and remorse increase and expand. Unarisen doubt arises, and arisen doubt increases and expands. Bhikkhus, when one...
Wait, let's
Oh, stop there.
just stop there.
Sure.
So I've said this is the Yonisomanasikārasampadāsutta. So this is a sutta on the how we apply Yonisomanasikāra. And so we'll look at what that word, how that word's translated. So we have here when we're not attending carefully, these are the 5 hindrances, and they arise and they grow. So we have sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, and doubt. Those are the 5 hindrances. So these hinder our ability to develop on the path, or for our meditation to be peaceful, and for meditation to develop in such a way that it leads to awakening. And Bhikkhu Bodhi translates Yonisomanasikāra as careful attention. And ayoniso is careless attention. Would you read the next paragraph, please?
Sure. Practitioners, when one attends carefully, the unarisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness arises, and the arisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness goes to fulfillment by development through all of the enlightenment factors. And then the unarisen enlightenment factor of equanimity arises, and the arisen enlightenment factor of equanimity goes to fulfillment by development.
So I think this must be in the Bojjhanga Samyutta. Yeah. So it's ellipsed here. And so we have a enlightenment factor, or a factor of awakening. There's various ways that Bojjhangas are translated. So this starts with mindfulness is the first one, and then it just goes directly to equanimity.
It does. Do you want
And so then it goes, so it depends on the translator.
yeah, here's
Investigation of states. Do you want to read them?
this is the one from Bhante Sujato. That's
Okay, go ahead.
Right? Correct.
Go ahead.
Oh no, we're doing Bhikkhu Bodhi there. Sorry. It's
Well, just a minute.
Bhikkhu Sujato is mindfulness, investigation of principles, energy, rapture, tranquility, immersion, and equanimity.
So Bhikkhu Bodhi says, I think something, investigation of states or something like that. Excuse me. So then I just took this first part for Bhante Sujato's translation here. And so Bhante Sujato says, mendicants, when you apply the mind irrationally, sensual desire, ill will, dullness and drowsiness, restlessness and remorse and doubt arise. And once arisen, they increase and grow. So rational application of mind is how Bhante Sujato translates it. And he explained in the Discuss and Discover Why he calls it that. There's various arguments of why things are translated in a particular way. I kind of like careful attention, wise attention, rational or irrational. I mean, how how we apply our minds to understanding the cause of our suffering. So if we're not attending, I think it depends. Yeah, when we're in the state of when we're meditating and I think sometimes it's a matter of taking care, taking like really and delicately looking at something. And I think for me, rational, I mean that's intellectual, but the taking the care kind of for me helps with the sense of things, sensing it as well. So I think sometimes you do have to look like, yeah, really, like if I keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting to get different results, that's kind of irrational. I keep making the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again. And that maybe so I don't know. So I think either can work, and depending on the situation and what you're approaching, what you're attending to. Like if I'm attending to how I'm moving through the day, I actually may be wanting to take care of how I'm speaking to somebody else. And or it would be irrational for me to yell at somebody and think that I'm going to get a good result from that. But it's also careless at the same time. So maybe, I don't know. This is a thing with one Pali word that has all these nuances to and so it's hard to find the one word. So we have this word yoniso, negates in this case. And we have Manasi, which is the manasi is having to do with the mind, and karoto is, they say making, but it also means doing or acting. Rather than mind making, well, doing, we're applying the mind is what I think is commonly the translation of that, how we apply our mind. And here we have the Pali. I put in bold the Pali for the hindrances: kama, chando, vyapado, tina, mida, uda, cha, kucham, and vichikicha. So this is a kama. Chando is a sense desire. Vyapado, that's ill will. Tina, mida is dullness and drowsiness, or sloth and torpor, and uda, cha, kucham, that's a restlessness and remorse, or how would you translate that?
I do the restlessness, remorse,
Anxiety,
anxiety.
something like that. And vichikicha is the doubt. Here I have Yoniso is improperly, imprudently, unwisely, carelessly, and literally not according to the source. So this is where some confusion came in about what that means. But looking to the cause, I think it's the cause, where something comes from. Because comes from the word womb. It's like, but that's why what it's born from. And could say something like anxiety born from uncertainty, or happiness born from contentment, or something like that. So we're going to say something.
Yeah, let me see if I still have it. Ill-conceived. It's ill-conceived, and then that kind of ties that. It's
Ill-conceived. Oh,
born, so you're out of alignment with nature and reality,
mm,
because there's this, and then bringing in the womb imagery. It's ill-conceived. It's
that's great.
yeah,
That's really great. Okay.
because that ties us with the Manasikaroti, uh, where it's a mind construction or conception,
Hmm.
and then and
Hmm.
it's out of alignment with the nature, with the Dhamma, with reality.
So manasikaronta, paying attention, making in the mind, was literally, but a tower tending how we're, and but I like what you were saying about the conception, conceiving, and creating in the mind.
And it ties those two together, the
Yeah.
mind source, mind source.
Hmm. Yeah. So when you think of a creation of, but there's also a tending, because what it is, it's a, um, when we're attending to our mind and our behavior and looking carefully at what's going on and looking at cause and effect, um, then wisdom arises from that. So what we're creating in our minds is an understanding based on, I mean, has to be that attention there. It's like the bread, because you you have to be patient, but you also are looking, and it's because of there's all these variables like the temperature, and maybe you've changed the ingredients a little bit in your recipe or whatever. So then you have to tend, look and see, oh, I've waited a half an hour, but it's not quite risen enough. So then you have to allow a little bit more time, um and you remember from the last time you maybe spent too much time kneading the bread and it didn't rise well because you tore, the gluten or something. You put I had this discussion with my brother about bread. He makes sourdough bread. So he was saying how he had to really spend time cleaning the counter carefully so it wouldn't contaminate the dough. And then when after he did the initial kneading, he had to clean the counter again so he wasn't bothering other people in the household, because it was going to take some time between each time the bread rises. So he didn't want to cause a disruption in the household. So he made sure so his wife would come and need to use the counter, and it's a mess. So it's kind of like you're looking at conditions, and not only just your own, but your interaction with other people and how you affect others. So it's pretty holistic. So that first sutta is short, and it's talking about what how we attend depends on whether we're uh nourishing the hindrances or the enlightenment factors. So we're going to get back to that, but we're going to kind of rollick into the Deva realm here. There's this sutta, it's number 18 in the Digha Nikaya, and it's with Janawasabha. And Janawasabha, when King Bimbisara passed away, he was a Sotapanna, and he became a yaka, but he became a benevolent yaka, because yakas can be either kind of fierce demon kind of beings, or they can be benefactors and protectors of the Dhamma. So Janawasa was going between the realms, and he would overhear there's kind of like a messenger almost between the Tusita Devas, I think it was. Anyway, I'm not so clear on all the Deva realms, but the higher realms. And these Devas were like rejoicing because amongst them there were some disciples of the Buddha who passed away, and they were extremely radiant beings in their midst. And so they're just all kind of sitting around rejoicing together. Isn't this wonderful? And then they see this light in the horizon, and Saka, one of the Lord of the gods or something. He's a higher up god. I'm sorry, I'm not so versed in all these Deva realms and stuff. But this Sana Kumara, is that Sanan Kumara, was appearing, and then because he's hearing them rejoicing, and he's in a formless realm, but then he takes a form so he can converse with these other devas, and so they're rejoicing, so he starts to kind of question them. Do you understand what you're rejoicing about?
Why are you so happy? Are you just happy? It's like after you've given a Dhamma talk and somebody comes up and says, "Oh, that was so wonderful." And you say, "Oh, what part really touched you?" "Oh, I don't remember, but it feels really good."
Thank you. Yes. Even with the devas, they're just like
Yeah.
flissing out. And then
Yeah.
he's like, do you really understand why? So this Sanan Kumara speaks, and he says, after he appears, and he's appears in this form of a particular deity, and speaks to the gods of the 33. He says, what do you think, good gods of the 33? How well understood by the Buddha are the three opportunities for achieving happiness? So there's this Sukhasadigama, achieving comfort, finding happiness, attaining relief. So this is he's asking, this is how well under, it's almost a rhetorical question here.
Mhm.
And so then he asks, there's this rhetoric here again. It's what three? What are the three? And then he just goes into describing this. I hope this isn't too confusing the way I formatted it, but I wanted to get the Pali and the maybe I should just read this first part because
Go for it.
okay. So first, take someone who lives mixed up with sensual pleasures and unskillful qualities. So we have this kamehi, and the kama chanda is sense desire. So here we have the kama again, and akusalehi, damehi. And this could include all the other hindrances, or just just generally unskillful dhammas, unskillful qualities. After some time, they hear the teaching of the noble ones. This is Bhante Sujato's translation, because here we have rationally. After some time, they hear the teaching of the noble ones, rationally apply the mind to how it applies to them, and practice in line with the teaching. So they've heard the teaching, and this Yonisomanasikāra appears here. So they're understanding they're applying their mind to what the Buddha has said, or the noble ones have said. And I put here, what is the source of true happiness? I put that in as they live aloof from sensual pleasures and unskillful qualities. I think aloof is kind of a strong, I think they start abandoning their obsession. They were mixed up. They were too obsessed, I think, with seeking sense pleasures. And so the source of suffering, what is it? What is the cause of suffering? We have
both we have Nora in the room, and both of us just went.
Yeah, grasping, wanting, always the seeking. So they were seeking sensual pleasures. That's what they were thinking, that happiness was, they would obtain happiness, but it's just endless, right? Always seeking, always grasping, always, and then the fear of when you have something, that fear of losing it, or it disappears. I have a really wonderful meal, and then it's eaten, and that's it. I could overeat, or find something else to try to stimulate my senses with. So they're not obsessed with those sense pleasures and unskillful qualities. They're abandoning other unskillful qualities like anger or the ill will and ignorance. So here we have Yonisomanasikāra is in the Pali, and I couldn't find another translation that really, because a lot of times in English, we don't like redundancy and prose, so they just eliminate it. So I think what it is they're continuing to apply their mind rationally or carefully to the Dhamma, and even to the unskillful qualities themselves, and how they're causing a dukkha for themselves. So based on that, this gives rise to pleasure, and more than pleasure, happiness, is how Bhante Sujato translates this. Like the joy that's born from gladness. So this is Sayat Tapi Bo Pamuda Pamojam Jayeta. So this is a pamoja. This is related to mudita. I guess the devas were like having a mudita fest.
Yeah, which is a good thing to do.
All of them sitting together rejoicing about the goodness of the disciples of the Buddha. And so, but here, just realizing that the real true happiness doesn't come from all the seeking. And I think that peacefulness of mind, joy comes up from letting go. But this is kind of beautiful. This is like a joy upon joy upon joy here. Hamuda Pamojam. And this is the born from Jayeta. This is the first opportunity for achieving happiness. So next, do you want to read this next one? Then I dispensed with the Pali.
All right, starting at next.
Yeah.
Next, take someone whose coarse physical, verbal, and mental processes have not died down. After some time, they hear the teaching of the noble ones, rationally applying the mind carefully to how it applies to them and practice in line with the teaching. Their coarse physical, verbal, and mental processes die down. That gives rise to pleasure, and more than pleasure, happiness, like the joy that's born from gladness. This is the second opportunity for achieving happiness. And we've talked about the well-being cascade here and used some of the suttas from that. Ajahn Kovalos compiled a nice little book on all the suttas, or many of the suttas. I don't know if it's comprehensive or not, of that include this cascade of joy upon joy, joy bearing up joy.
But what's interesting is that the Yonisomanasikāra's essential element, like the yeast and the bread. And then, so they have this coarse physical, verbal, and mental habits, processes of mental formations that have not died down. So it's not like they're totally indulgent and unwholesome activity, but it's coarser. And then I think when you're applying your mind to how even these coarse states, you start getting more refined, but you start investigating those themselves. This is how I took it. You investigate, oh, yeah, when the mind is agitated or I'm the coarse physical wouldn't be like you'd be breaking precepts, but you're still a little bit driven by unwholesome states. So you're a little more reactive and so you start looking at how your actions through body, speech, and mind still have an impact on yourself and others. And it says that have not died down, which means you're making an effort to calm all this down, but it's still there. It's still these habit patterns, they're still present, especially mental ones. The verbal and mental are the hardest ones habits to break, I think. So maybe just engaging in a lot of useless speech or speech that isn't quite maybe a little bit exaggerated or something not quite true or something. So it's coarser, but you're aware of it. A person is aware of it. And then bringing the awareness to how this is causing suffering or causing irritation, it starts to settle down. This is a process over time. Like the reactivity, the immediate reactivity to a situation, like I might initially get angry and then I see the anger and then I let it die down. But that takes repeated work, and then it gets calmer and calmer, or strong greed might arise and I want it and I feel jealous because somebody else has it, and then I see that and I go, oh, okay. And then I can let it go. So it takes time just really looking at that carefully. And then when their coarse physical, verbal, and mental processes die down, this gives rise to pleasure and more than pleasure, excuse me, happiness, like the joy born from gladness. This is the second opportunity for achieving happiness. Do you want to read the next one?
Sure. Next, take someone who doesn't truly understand what is skillful and what is unskillful, what is blameworthy and what is blameless, and what should be cultivated and what should not be cultivated, what is inferior and what is superior, and what has a portion of dark or bright. After some time, they hear the teaching of the noble ones, rationally apply the mind to how it applies to them, and practice in line with the teaching. They truly understand what is skillful and what is unskillful, and so on. Knowing and seeing like this, ignorance is given up and knowledge arises.
Sadhu.
That gives rise to pleasure, see? And more than pleasure, happiness, like the joy that's born from gladness. This is the third opportunity for achieving happiness.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So you see how this is getting more and more subtle. And this is actually, I realized when I saw this, I thought about another sutta. So now we're going back to the human realm. And so this is the meditator, right? And this is so that is a topic on which the divinity Sana Kumara spoke, to be continued, because he's going to talk about something else, but we're splicing something else in. So here we have from the Bojjhanga Samyutta, the second sutta, the body, and we're jumping to the nutriment for the enlightened factor of discrimination of states. This is Dhamma Vijaya. And I think Bhante Sujato says investigation of principles or
yeah.
something to that
Yeah.
effect. This is the one that has the more different, it's a distinctly different translation, states, mental states. So what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states and for the fulfillment of the development of the arisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states? There are bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, siales, wholesome, or this is wholesome or skillful. We saw the skillful or unskillful, wholesome or unwholesome states, blamable and blameless states, inferior and superior states, dark and bright states, with their counterparts, frequently giving careful attention to them, is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states, and for the fulfillment and development of the arisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states. So you saw how this Sanat Kumara was talking about not understanding, they don't fully understanding what is skillful or unskillful, or wholesome or unwholesome, blameworthy or blameless. So this is like understanding them. And then when a person applies their mind rationally or carefully to these, it's a nutriment for the enlightenment factor of Dhamma Vijaya. So this is connected in my mind. I thought, wow, this relates to the original sutta, because they were talking about enlightenment factors.
Yeah, and in the original sutta, you can really see that they are talking about nutriment. First, the ayoniso, the nutriment of the hindrances. What are you nurturing? Ill will. Ooh, yuck. That's the contaminated countertop before you put the sourdough starter on it.
Before you start kneading the bread, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to clean it, cover the surface. That's your sila too,
Yeah.
think. But yeah, so
I hope you're gonna tell your Minnesota joke before the end.
good. I don't know if we have time.
At the end.
Okay, so then we're jumping. Oh, okay. So then it says here, this is the body again. And this is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation again. And what bhikkhus is the nutriment, and everybody else, we're not just the bhikkhus, is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of enlightenment. There are bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, thyales, lay people, things that are the basis for the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment of the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness. So what's that? The basis. Things that are the basis. When I first read that, I was saying, what? What's the basis?
Are you going back to Yoni now, or?
Okay, we're going back to the divinity. That is,
no, we got to go through the gods first.
we're going back to the gods. We're jumping back to the gods.
All righty.
Okay,
Excellent.
that is the topic on which the divinity Sana Kumara spoke. So the priest, the three opportunities for happiness. And having spoken about that, he addressed the gods of the 33. And this is Bhante Sujato's translation of mindfulness meditation, but it says that satipatthana is the establishment or base, the base.
Yes, okay, I get it.
Okay, so no, but actually, it is said that this is the basis for mindfulness, is the satipatthana.
Mhm.
So when you do the practice, in order for it to be, in order for the cultivating the enlightenment factors, for the mindfulness to be an enlightenment factor, you cultivate it according to the satipatthana. That's the basis. And mindfulness of in and out breathing by itself fulfills the four foundations of mindfulness. So don't worry, it doesn't have to be, it could be as complex or streamlined as you wish. But I think, yeah, you need to apply the other aspects of mindfulness as well as the mindfulness of breathing, but the actual practice itself fulfills, mindfulness of breathing fulfills all four. So what did the good gods of the 33 think? How well described by the Buddha are the four kinds of mindfulness meditation? So they are taught for the achieving of what is skillful. What for? Would you read this for us,
It's
please?
when a mendicant meditates by observing an aspect of the body internally, keen, aware, and mindful, rid of covetousness and displeasure for the world. As they meditate in this way, they become rightly immersed in that and rightly serene. Then they give rise to knowledge and vision of other people's bodies externally. They meditate observing an aspect of feelings internally. Then they give rise to knowledge and vision of other people's feelings externally. They meditate observing an aspect of the mind internally. Then they give rise to knowledge and vision of other people's minds externally. They meditate observing an aspect of principles internally, keen, aware, and mindful, rid of covetousness and displeasure for the world. As they meditate in this way, they become rightly immersed in that and rightly serene. Then they give rise to knowledge and vision of other people's principles externally. These are the four kinds of mindfulness meditation taught by the Buddha for achieving what is skillful.
So I thought that was interesting that, well, especially the way it's ellipsed, talking about internally and externally, because that doesn't plot, it does appear in the Satipatthana Sutta. But I think when we really fully understand ourselves, then we can understand other people. And for instance, when I see anger and greed and these kind of qualities arise in myself, and I am trying to abandon these things, And then I have more compassion for other people, or have more understanding for other people. So this is like a really deep understanding of one's own mind, helps you understand other people's minds and bodies. So this is the internally and externally. But then we have the mindfulness of breathing, coming back to the physical form, human form. So this is a Majjhima Nikaya 118. Whenever a mendicant meditates by observing an aspect of the body, at that time their mindfulness is established and lucid. At such a time, a mendicant has initiated the awakening factor of mindfulness. They develop it, perfect it. Whenever a mendicant meditates by observing an aspect of feeling, mind, principles, at that time, their mindfulness is established and lucid. At such a time, a mendicant has initiated the awakening factor of mindfulness. So this is showing how the mindfulness of in and out breathing, at such a time, they've initiated the awakening factor of mindfulness, investigation of principles, energy, rapture, tranquility, immersion, and equanimity. So he said established and lucid, and I like also unremitting and unremitted mindfulness, that it's continuous. Then we're going back to the body, the human form. Guess we have time for this one. So this is how it's showing this, it shows this particular sutta shows how the hindrances are nurtured, and how the enlightenment factors, or the awakening factors, are nurtured. So it just goes through all of them. Do we have time for this, do you think? We could just read it through, maybe.
Do you want me to just read?
Yeah, you could just read.
Just as this body sustained by nutriment subsists in dependence on nutriment and does not subsist without nutriment, so too the 7 factors of enlightenment sustained by nutriment subsist in dependence on nutriment and do not subsist without nutriment. And what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness, and for the fulfillment of development of the arisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness? There are things that are the basis for the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness, and for the fulfillment of development of the arisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness. And what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states? There are wholesome and unwholesome states, blamable and blameless states, inferior and superior states, dark and bright states, with their counterparts. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of discrimination of states. And what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of energy, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of energy? There are the element of arousal, the element of endeavor, the element of exertion. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of energy, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of energy. And what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of rapture, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of rapture? There are things that are the basis for the enlightenment factor of rapture. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of rapture, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of rapture. And what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of tranquility, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of tranquility? There are tranquility of body, tranquility of mind. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of tranquility, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of tranquility. And what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of concentration, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of concentration? There are the sign of serenity, the sign of non-dispersal. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of concentration, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of concentration. And what is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of equanimity, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of equanimity? There are things that are the basis for the enlightenment factor of equanimity. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of equanimity, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of equanimity.
We can probably just stop there.
Great.
Yeah, so yeah, I have this so few words, the Satisambhojanga Thaniya, which supports mindfulness as an element of awakening, serving as a basis, remembering this is, sorry. Yeah, I had that. So this support or basis. And then you notice in the other enlightenment factors, they have that giving the support to what is the basis. I think you start discovering for yourself what is bringing up this PT. And then the previous establishing oneself and the previous enlightenment factors in themselves is supporting that progress. It gets to be like a cascade effect. As the first two, the Sati Sambhojanga and the Dhammavicaya Sambhojanga, those first two are you can actively engage in, even a little bit with the energy too, but by the time you're really looking clearly at things and seeing things clearly, and this clear seeing helps you put aside at least some of the hindrances and or just put them into abeyance, and then energy will start to arise. But you also attend to that the sense of energy. You tend to the sense of joy or piti. You see you observe the observation of the body calming at a certain point, and the mind calming, this the passaddhi. All these things that so it's your what nourishes them actually is the attending to them and bringing awareness to them, just like, and then when the mind starts to become spacious, open, calm, clear, quiet, instead of attending to the occasional little flutters of thought, you just let them pass, and you tend more to that quiet spaciousness of mind. So that is actually nourishing it by, instead of saying, oh, yeah, I keep thinking about this or that, it's like, can I see the spaciousness of the mind? So can I be aware when the mind is quiet? Can I be aware when bringing awareness to calm feeling in the body and all these factors? So this is a nourishment of those qualities. And equanimity, this is going to come naturally too, as we're abandoning the unwholesome and cultivating the wholesome, and the passaddhi is supporting that. The calm is supporting the emergence, and the samadhi also supports the emergence of this deep equanimity. So we have a few minutes. We could stop there. I think I maybe in the after party I can talk about the
Yeah, you can.
the Norwegian culture. But I can stop the share screen. And does anyone have a question or comment? I know it's a lot. We did a lot of rollicking between the different realms of heavenly and human realm, but hopefully it's helpful. Nora's here in person. Do you have any thought?
Well, I would just say how much I appreciate this. It was really delightful.
At least you
to-
could hear your voice.
It was delightful to be able to just be in your presence sharing this, and I love the going between the realms. And I think what I took away, what I felt, not necessarily the words, but what I felt was a sense of the care. And that maybe that like nourishment is that actual care. And there's no, at the deepest level, it feels for me like there's not separation between what we're attending and how we are attending to it. And that is, I mean, so beautiful. Yeah. So thank you. I could really feel that from you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I think I like the careful attention. I can also understand rational, but I think there's maybe a balance between that intellect. At a certain point, I think we let go of the intellect. So that's why I have a hard time with the. It's not like it's context.
Yes, but I feel like for me, it's the nourishing, the caring for the wholesome qualities. The word care resonates and draws me to a right relationship. Where I like to apply is irrational, because it means it doesn't even make sense. When I understand it well enough, it doesn't even make sense for me to nourish ill will, for me to nourish sloth and torpor. It's irrational. It doesn't even make sense. So that's the side I tend to feel like, gosh, I can't even make this make sense anymore. And that's what the Dhamma practice does. It's like, I remember one teacher saying when they had the big moment of, I was holding on to that, was the way that she described it. And you could tell from that, it no longer made sense to
Okay.
nourish the unwholesome.
It's just like the kid's toy that, like I just picture the old worn out, smelly, the toy that, like the toy rag doll or something like that, and you can't let go of it, and it was your favorite toy, and then eventually it ends up in the closet and you've forgotten about it, and then you find it again years later and you go,
It doesn't even make sense to keep this.
I was hanging on to this. You were about to say something, Nora.
Oh, I was just wondering in the last sutta that Nyanaka read with the nourish, what was the Pali?
That's ahara.
Ahara.
Ahara is a nutriment or the fuel. Bhante Sujato says fuel. It's one of the translations is, but I like nutriment.
Me too.
I guess because maybe I don't know, nourishing and caring and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a little softer than fuel burning, fueling the fire of, but it's it, yeah, because if you're fueling the enlightenment factors, I can see fuel as the hindrances because they're burning, they're on fire or something like that, but it kind of so maybe that's part of the difference
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
is that depending on the context. So it's ahara is actually there's one sutta called ahara, which is nutriment, and then this one is the body, and that's number 2 in the
Bojjhanga
the
Samhita.
Bojjhanga Samhita. It's a SN 46.2. So does anyone else have any question or comment? We are a little over, but that's okay. So we can close then if no one's wishing to say anything on, and we'll just pay respects to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha and go off
To the after
the live
party.
stream. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivadin Swakato Bhagavata Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami. So thank you all on YouTube for joining us.